The Discover One Plus comes in at such a good price point, it's almost hard to pass up. If you guys have been looking for your first or maybe your next step through e-bike, you might want to check this one out. Let's go ahead and go over all the details of what comes on this bike, and then I want to take this out on a ride and give you guys my initial thoughts and impressions on this bike within the first 10 miles. Now let's take a look at some of the features that come on this bike. I'm going to go through these relatively quickly so we can get out on a test ride. A lot of this stuff is relatively standard across the board when it comes to Velotrics. You're going to get some really nice hydraulic brakes that are going to have 2 pistons, both front and back, and they're also going to have 180mm rotors. All the brakes that I've ever tested on the Velotric bike have been reliable, and the nice thing is if you ever need to get them serviced or the pads replaced, they're easily replaceable. The next thing is on this new Discover One Plus is you get brand new swept-back bars with ergonomic grips. This gives you a super comfortable upright position, and then also this big, comfy, padded seat really does make this ride super plush. This does come with a 7-speed shifter made by Shimano, and it's an undermount, which is my preferred method. And that's going to be shifting a tourney rear derailleur, which is an entry-level rear derailleur, but Shimano nonetheless. One of the big upgrades to the drivetrain on the Plus model is the 46 tooth. Before, this came with a 42 tooth. Now that it's upgraded to a 46, you no longer have to worry about ghost pedaling. Now the screen is going to be an LCD screen. It's not going to be their upgraded screen that you would see on the Discover 2. But I found in bright light and at night, I was able to see this LCD screen with no issues whatsoever. And there's a USB port underneath here so you can plug in your cable and charge your phone. Another upgrade that comes on the Plus model versus the original is an adjustable stem. This is also something that you would see on the Discover 2, the model up above this. Having this adjustable stem allows you to really dial in that comfort position. Now they did change the position and type of throttle. This has a thumb throttle that's going to be over on the left-hand side of the bike. And on that side, you're also going to find your controls to power on the bike and switch between your pedal assist levels. Now looking down here at the wheels, you are going to get some really nice wheels that are going to have 2.5-inch wide road tires on here. They've got a nice texture on them that will grip the road no matter the conditions. And also they put on these nice plastic fenders, and they're not just cheap plastic looking fenders. They actually put some angles on them and made them kind of look a little bit more modern. And it has a nice built-in rear tail light that actually lights up, along with a front headlight. This front headlight is upgraded to 15 additional lux in power over the original Discover One. Also, another upgrade that they did on this bike versus the Discover One, the Plus model now gets an 80mm fork with lockout as opposed to a 60mm. Now let's take a look at all the electronics on this bike. This comes with a 690 watt-hour battery that's going to be 48 volts and should get you roughly about 65 miles on pedal assist 1 on relatively flat ground. And tied into that battery is going to be the Velotric's rear hub motor. This is proprietary, and they produce 500 watts of sustained power with a peak of 900. That's significantly more powerful than most of their competitions when you're talking about peak power. They recommend that this bike is specifically designed for people who are going to be riding in an area with no more than about 8% grade. But if you do have bigger hills, you might want to check out the Discover 2 as it's got a 750 watt motor and it's a little bit more suited for really big hills. All right, so out here on the Velotric Discover One Plus, this bike is so smooth. I love the Discover line. If you're just somebody who is cruising around on a bike and wants something super comfortable, I don't know that you're gonna get much more comfort than a hybrid style bike like the Discover One Plus or the Discover 2. This bike is really, really smooth. I'm about 15 miles an hour on pedal assist 3. Really, really easy riding. Let's pump this up to 4. So you're gonna have 5 pedal assist levels, and looks like we get to about 17.5, 17.7. And let's go pedal assist 5. Definitely get a big speed increase there. Now I currently have this set to a class 2 e-bike, so it is hitting that 20 mile an hour mark. I'm gonna stop and change this in the settings to go up to a class 3. Okay, I've unlocked the bike, so now it should be class 3. One thing I'm really interested in is Velotric says that you should unplug the throttle in order to make it a class 3 legal e-bike. I've chose to leave it on just to see how quick this bike will go with the throttle, if it'll get over that 20-mile-an-hour mark. And it does look like the throttle will go all the way up to a class 3 speed. I can tell you the chain ring that they put on this, the 46 tooth, is great. I am not ghost pedaling at all. And this bike is already up to 27 miles an hour. I have full tension on the drivetrain. Very nice. Over 28 miles an hour and no ghost pedaling one bit. We're gonna see how quickly this cadence sensor will kick in. Pedal, pedal, oh, it's like instant. That's a quick cadence sensor. Not every cadence sensor that you use is quick. This is very fast. The brake handles are very, very nice. They're big. They're more of a motocross style brake handle. You've got a little knob at the end so your hands won't slip off of them. I love the bigger tires that come on the Discover series. I know my wife really does like the 2.4-inch wide tires that came on her Discover 2, and she just feels a lot more confident, you know, going over loose gravel or any type of bumpy terrain. Having a little bit wider tire can really, really help your confidence. And this bike is very, very quiet. I don't know if it's going to come through in the video, but for a chain drive bike, it's super quiet, almost belt level quiet. And test the brakes. Oh, these things feel good. Oh yeah, very, very good brakes. Okay, so the Discover 1 Plus is absolutely killing it out here. I love the classic design of this bike. It's super smooth and the step through is really, really nice. But right now we've got this huge hill. Doesn't look big on camera, but this is 19% and it pushes pretty much every e-bike that I have really, really hard. I set the bar at 10 miles an hour. If a bike makes it up the hill going at least 10 miles an hour and doesn't drop down below that, then it's definitely a hill climbing bike. We're gonna see how this one does. Even though this bike is not rated for a hill this big, I think that this bike is actually gonna be able to pull this off. Let's get to it. All right, so how we're gonna do this is I'm gonna start off with throttle till about a line that's about 40, 50 feet up there, and then I'm gonna do pedal assist 5 all the way up this hill. Once I get up here, it'll be about 19% at the driveway that you're gonna see up here. So on about 40 feet, we got up to about 12 miles an hour with the throttle. This bike is really smooth on the acceleration, not super jerky like some other brands that I've had. All right, we got up to 21. I'm gonna go ahead and downshift. I'm gonna stay in 5th gear for as long as we can. Now this is a cadence sensor, so the pressure that I put on the pedals doesn't really make a difference in the power that the motor is producing. Right here about 15%, and right at the beginning and middle of this driveway is about the 19%. Just shifted down. It's doing good shifting under load. We did drop below 10, but we're 9.5. This is the steepest right here. All right, it's starting to pull out of it. Oh, okay, now we're gaining. I'm not even all the way down in the lowest gear. Very, very good. Even though this bike is only rated for 8% grade, it did really well on that 19% hill. So far on this trip, I've done about 3 miles and it's gone by pretty quick. I actually just went down a hill back there. Didn't turn on my camera, but just coasting down the hill, I hit upwards of 43 miles an hour and felt super stable on this bike. I'm gonna cruise around for a little bit more and then we'll go back, talk about the things that I love and the things that I wish were a little bit different on the Discover 1 Plus. Now, a couple of quick things about Velotric. Velotric is now sold in over 1,000 stores in the United States. This bike is designed in California, and Velotric really puts safety first with 2 things. One is the UL certification, and they put a big stamp up here to make sure that you know that this bike is 100% UL certified. It not only meets the European standards, but it meets the higher standard here in the United States. The next thing is the ISO rating. This is a structural rating to test to see how strong these frames are. This frame scored 150% stronger than what the standard is for the ISO. That means that this bike can hold upwards of 440 pounds of total capacity. So not only your body weight, but if you put any cargo on this bike, you're not gonna have to worry about overloading this frame. This bike is a smooth riding, budget-friendly e-bike that I think if you're looking for your first or maybe your next step through e-bike, this is a great model to go with. Currently, the price comes in right under $1,200, which is kind of mind-blowing for everything that you get. The things that I absolutely love about this bike, I love the bigger tires that come on this. Most hybrid bikes come with a little bit thinner tires, but having these almost mountain bike width tires really does make this ride super smooth, but also confidence inspiring if you get on some gravel roads. The other thing I do love is I love the fact that they added some swept back bars to this. When I'm riding a hybrid bike, I want to have the whole experience. I want an upright feel and I want to feel really comfortable. Having swept back bars on a hybrid bike is definitely a plus. The next thing that I love is the step through design. Having this only at 15 inches above the ground, it makes it easy for anybody to be able to step through and get on this bike. Now, a few things that I wish were a little bit different on this bike and wish were included with this bike, but I can kind of understand this first one for it not being included because of the overall price of this bike, is a rear rack. Most of the e-bikes these days do come with a rear rack. This one doesn't, but we're also talking about a $1,200 e-bike that isn't coming with all kinds of cheap parts on it. This is a quality made e-bike, and if they had to remove the rack to get it down to that low price point, the next thing that I wish that they had on this bike was the upgraded display that comes on the Discover 2, but I can fully understand, again, getting this thing so low in the price point, they did have to go with a little bit less expensive screen. However, it is really large and super easy to see in the sunlight. I do want to add a couple more things that I do like about this bike because there's really not a lot to dislike about this bike. One is this front chain ring. Having this upgraded from a 42 tooth to a 46 tooth in the Plus model is a huge difference. I was able to hit 28 miles an hour and didn't have any ghost pedaling whatsoever. That's kind of unheard of. So having that bigger chain ring up front really does make riding with a cadence sensor that much more enjoyable. The next thing that I really do appreciate is the IPX7 battery. Knowing that that battery is not going to get damaged if it gets wet. Say I've got this on the back of my car and I'm driving down the road and a rainstorm hits, I don't have to worry about jumping out and getting this battery because IPX7 certification means that this thing can be submerged for upwards of 30 minutes, which is absolutely crazy. I really appreciate the fact that Velotric takes the time to really make sure that they've got high quality UL certified batteries. All right, guys, if you want to pick up this bike, or maybe you want to upgrade to the Discover 2, or maybe check out the fun and rowdy Summit 1, you can find links down below to all of those bikes. And if you do use those links, it is affiliated. It does help out this channel and it allows me to continue doing these reviews. And I would greatly appreciate that. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I put out videos every week. Hit that like button, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think of this bike. But as always, get out there and ride your bike.